Our selection is Lean on You. Yeah, let me
lean on you.
Yeah, let me
lean on you.
Yeah, let me
lean on you.
Yeah, let me
lean on you.
You know my
soul needs resting. Let me lean on you.
Yeah, let me
lean on you.
Yeah, let me
lean on you.
Yeah, let me
lean on you.
You know my
soul needs resting. Let me lean on you.
Yeah, you said you'd be the strength of my life, and on you I can depend. You said, "Lo, I'll be with you all the way to the end." Through all of my trials, ups and downs, through all of this, yeah, you know you've been my trusted friend. Just like Samson called on you and asked you for strength. Right now, yeah, I'm calling on you. I'm calling you once again. Yeah, let me
lean on you.
Yeah, let me
lean on you.
Yeah, let me
lean on you.
You know my
soul needs resting. Let me lean on you.
Yeah, you said you'd be the strength of my life, and on you I can depend. You said, "Lo, I'll be with you all the way to the end." Through all of my trials, ups and downs, through all of this, yeah, you know you've been my trusted friend. Just like Samson called on you and asked you for strength. Right now, yeah, I'm calling on you. I'm calling you once again. Yeah, let me
lean on
oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. As we know, we are getting right upon our another set of holy days. We're about to go through our atonement and then Feast of Tabernacles. But when we get into doing these things that are important unto Yahweh, we kind of forget, because we kind of let the nations narrate a few things that they should not have power over. We kind of forget what this story about Yahweh and Israel is, because the nations want to input themselves into a certain place. They have to kind of change the story and make the story be something that it's not. The story then gets told to us about religion and things of that nature, but we kind of miss the part that this is the greatest love story that's ever been told between Yahweh and Israel. But for the other nations to do the things that they have done, they need to somewhat alter the parts of the story, so that when you begin to do the things that are important unto Yahweh, which is what happens when you're in a love story, you do things that are important to the person that you love. Well, we claim to love Yahweh, and Yahweh has said that these holy days are things that are important unto him. So how is it that we can love him, but we can't deal with anything that he loves? That's a problem. That is a problem in your natural life, and it is definitely going to be a problem in your spiritual life. You can't be in any relationship, and the only thing you deal with is the things that you like. And likewise, you have the same situation when you have Yahweh our Elohim. But for the nations to be able to still maintain the facade of control, they have to alter this story. Because when you start telling this story, that it is about a love story concerning a specific group of people, and then the love will then go out from that group of people to the rest of the world, that causes a problem with the nations because they don't want to acknowledge those group of people. They want to deal with the story. They want to have all of the things that comes with the story, but they do not want to acknowledge who the love story is about. And that is a serious problem. So as we're keeping these things, the nations have been instructed to come at us as if, we're just keeping a lot of old stuff that does not matter. You need to understand that we are not just going through the motions of some things that were in an old part of the book. What we're doing is keeping our love story alive. We're going to begin today in Ezekiel chapter 16.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 1. Again the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus says the Adonai Yah unto Jerusalem, Your birth and your nativity is of the land of Canaan. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother an Hittite.
Okay, now if you just pause and deal with that right there, we have this whole push about who is natural Israel, who is not natural Israel. It is an ethnicity, a group of people. But Yahweh is also showing that the whole birth of you came from, this whole part of Canaan, it was already given to somebody else first, Yahweh's land. And we have to ask ourselves, why was it given to Canaan in the first place? Israel was called Canaan land. It was somebody else's land first. And it never does occur to us, what would have happened to us if they would have did what they were supposed to do in the land? We don't even consider those things. Go ahead.
And as for your nativity, in the day you was born, your navel was not cut, neither was you washed in water to supple you. You was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all.
And sometimes we romanticize our beginnings. We romanticize that it was better than it actually was. See, sometimes you can hear people telling some stories about some things that happened, and you have to back them up. Wait a minute, that's not how that happened. No, you don't romanticize that. That's not how that went down. That went down much uglier than that. But see, the ugly story don't sound good. Go ahead.
None I pitied you to do any of these unto you, to have compassion upon you. But you was cast out into the open field to the loathing of your person in the day that you was born.
Now, even as you read this, you got to deal with several aspects. You got to have like this parallel street and look on the left side of what's happening here and what Yahweh is saying, but at the same time, you need to look at the things that happened to Yahshua. Your navel wasn't cut. You were cast out into the open field. There are several things going on at the same time. And if you just limit yourself to one thing, you're only going to see a part of this story. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And when I passed by you and saw you polluted in your own blood, I said unto you, when you was in your blood, live. Yes, I said unto you, when you was in your blood, live.
Now, and even in thinking about what I was just saying, there are certain things that certain prophets, and of course, Yahshua was a prophet and a Messiah. So we're looking at several levels of things there. There are certain things that he had to live out that actually was about Israel. So it wasn't that just some things happened to him. Some of those things happened because he had to live out the story. So as Yahweh tells you the beginning of the story, then you look at the beginning of Yahshua and he has somewhat of the same things. he has to live out the story. There are certain situations that Yahweh will make happen in our lives. And if you get into this book, he may be making you live out one of them stories. You don't know it because you ain't reading enough. Go ahead.
I have caused you to multiply as the bud of the field, and you have increased and waxen great, and you are come to excellent ornaments. Your breasts are fashioned, and your hair is grown, whereas you was naked and bare. Now when I passed by you and looked upon you, behold, your time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness. Yes, I swear unto you and entered into a covenant with you, said the Adonai Yah, and you became mine. Then washed I you with water. Yes, I thoroughly washed away your blood from you, and I anointed you with oil. I clothed you also with broidered work, and shod you with badger skin, and I girded you about with fine linen, and I covered you with silk. I decked you also with ornaments, and I put bracelets upon your hands, and a chain on your neck. And I put a jewel on your forehead, and earrings in your ears, and a beautiful crown upon your head. Thus was you decked with gold and silver, and your raiment was of fine linen, and silk, and broidered work. You did eat fine flour, and honey, and oil. You was exceeding beautiful, and you did prosper into a kingdom.
Right, but of course, at this point, this is when we kind of forget how we came to be. See, we forgot those earlier dealings because now we got it going on. You know, you got gold and silver, you decked in silk and embroidered work. Oh, you got it going on. Everybody looking at you now. Wasn't nobody looking at you before. Go ahead.
And your renown went forth among the heathen for your beauty, for it was perfect through my comeliness.
It was perfect through my comeliness, not your own. Go ahead.
Which I had put upon you, says the Adonai Yah. But you did trust in your own beauty, and played the harlot because of your renown, and poured out your fornications on everyone that passed by, as it was.
Right, because now the attention has gotten to a situation where now we want to deal with everything under the sun. Go ahead.
And of your garments you did take, and deck your high places with divers colors, and played the harlot thereupon. The like things shall not come, neither shall it be so. You have also taken your fair jewels of my gold and of my silver, which I had given you, and made to yourself images of men, and did commit whoredom with them, and took your broidered garments and covered them.
Stop. Yahweh said, I gave you broidered garments as a beauty thing. You didn't turn around and cover them, so that you could please other gods. Go ahead.
And you have set mine oil and mine incense before them. My meat also, which I gave you, fine flour and oil and honey, wherewith I fed you, you have even set it before them for a sweet savor. And thus it was, says the Adonai Yah. Moreover, you have taken your sons and your daughters, whom you have borne unto me, and these have you sacrificed unto them to be devoured. Is this of your whoredoms a small matter, that you have slain my children and delivered them to cause them to pass through the fire for them? And in all your abominations and your whoredoms, you have not remembered the days of your youth, when you was naked and bare, and was polluted in your blood.
Right. This is that selective amnesia. We have forgotten the beginnings. We have forgotten how we got here. Once we got here, now we end up high and mighty. And how people stay high and mighty is they go to all of those places where they do Israelite pep rallies all day. And all this does is boost you up constantly. So you can't be a part of the love story because you can't deal with what Yahweh even expects of you. You too busy championing yourself. So instead of thinking about Yahweh, somebody think they keeping the Sabbath, they out chanting Judah right now. Marching around the sanctuary, chanting names of tribes. But where's our Elohim in the love story while you chanting your tribe? Go ahead.
Verse 23. And it came to pass after all your wickedness, woe unto you, says the Adonai Yah, that you have also built unto you an eminent place, and have made you an high place in every street. You have built your high place at every head of the way, and have made your beauty to be abhorred, and have opened your feet to everyone that passed by, and multiplied your whoredoms.
And you see that Yahweh is very vivid with this, how he has likened Israel unto his wife, and you can't get any more open than, you done open your feet to everybody that passed by. You can't get any more graphic than that right there. Yahweh is pretty open with what he's dealing with at this point. Let's go to Ruth chapter 2.
Ruth chapter 2 and verse 1. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a mighty man of wealth, of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, Let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said unto her, Go, my daughter. And she went and came and gleaned in the field after the reapers.
Now, when you understand the whole process of gleaning, excuse me, there's a process whereby Israel, in our own things that we own, it's our field, we go and we pick the ripe fruits. Then there the parts that are not completely there, then the poor and disenfranchised, the people who don't really have a whole lot of things, they come and are able to get those other things. We were commanded not to completely glean our own vineyard, our own field. That way, it was always something left for the poor of our people. When we get our check, that baby glean, Jack. We have made a something for every dime that is on that piece of paper. They said you got $400.17. We got plans for $400.17. We got plans for every last bit of that. That vineyard glean, Jack. So there ain't nothing left for us to give to anybody else. There ain't nothing left for us to help anybody else. We get a raise. We say, well, that means I need to go get a better car. I got a raise. So that raise is gone the day after we got it. This is a process that Yahweh has, a system, a culture that allows us to take care of one another. If we take the thought process of Babylon into that land, we're going to have some serious problems. Because when them people get ready to come glean, are you going to become, one running out there nasty? Get out of my field, fool! Hey, what are you doing? No, you stealing. No, they not. No, they not. No, you don't know the culture. While you was out chanting Judah, you should have probably read about the culture of Israel. Now put the shotgun down, man. They got the right to go in there. Yeah, but it's my stuff. I know it's your stuff. Go ahead, bro.
And her hap was to light on a part of the field belonging unto Boaz, who was of the kindred of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, and said unto the reapers, Yahweh be with you. And they answered him, Yahweh bless you. Then said Boaz unto his servant that was set over the reapers, Whose damsel is this? And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, It is the Moabitish damsel that came back with Naomi out of the country of Moab. And she said, I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came, and has continued even from the morning until now, that she tarried a little in the house. Then said Boaz unto Ruth, Heareth you not, my daughter? Go not to glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let your eyes be on the field that you do reap, and go you after them. Have I not charged the young man that they shall not touch you? And when you are athirst, go on to the vessels, and drink of that which the young man have drawn. Then she fell on her face, and bowed herself to the ground, and said unto him, why have I found grace in your eyes, that you should take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger?
Seeing I am a stranger, this is not a woman who is, as far as her ethnicity, she is not Israel. That's why they said this is a Moabitish woman, okay? This is a foreign woman. You get back to the things that we read before. Yahweh starts reading the nativity of Israel. He says, your father was an Amorite, and then somebody else was a Canaanite. He starts already saying that you were brought out of foreign beginnings. Go ahead.
And Boaz answered and said unto her, It has fully been showed me, all that you have done unto your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother, and the land of your nativity, and are come unto a people which you knoweth not heretofore.
Right, so she has already made a commitment to deal with these people, whether or not she has a husband among those people or not. Her husband dead. It says a woman is bound to the law of her husband as long as he lived. Her husband dead. She could have went wherever she wanted to go. So he has already saw that there are some good things about this woman before he even knows anything about this woman. Go ahead.
Yahweh recompense your work, and a full reward be given you of Yahweh Elohim of Israel, under whose wings you are come to trust. Then she said, Let me find favor in your sight, my master, for that you have comforted me, and for that you have spoken friendly unto your handmaid, though I be not like unto one of your handmaids. And Boaz said unto her, At mealtime come you hither, and eat of the bread, and dip your morsel in the vinegar. And she sat beside the reapers, and he reached her parched corn, and she did eat, and was sufficed, and left. And when she was risen up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, Let her glean, even among the sheaves, and reproach her not.
Okay, so now let her glean in the place where she ain't got no business being. Now first, okay, she's supposed to go after they get through. No. Let her go when she ain't got no business going. Let her get the best stuff. And don't say nothing to her. Go ahead.
And let fall also some of the handfuls of purpose for her, and leave them, that she may glean them, and rebuke her not. So she gleaned in the field until evening, and beat out that she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. And she took it up, and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned, and she brought her forth, and gave to her that she had reserved after she was sufficed. And her mother-in-law said unto her, Where have you gleaned today? And where wroughteth you? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of you. And she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought, and said, The man's name with whom I wrought today is Boaz. And Naomi said unto her daughter-in-law, Blessed be he of Yahweh, who has not left of his kindness to the living and to the dead. And Naomi said unto her, The man is near of kin unto us, one of our next kinsmen. And Ruth the Moabitess said, He said unto me also, You shall keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest. And Naomi said unto Ruth, her daughter-in-law, It is good, my daughter, that you go out with his maidens, that they meet you not in any other field. So she kept fast by the maidens of Boaz to glean unto the end of barley harvest and of wheat harvest, and dwelt with her mother-in-law.
And the question she asked her was, whose field were you in? Just by looking at it, she knows that she has had some things that she should not have had. Let's go to Exodus chapter 19. Exodus chapter 19, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt.
All right, sanctification is given in threes. It is in the 3rd month when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt. This is the very concept behind we sanctify ourselves against the 3rd day. When you go through these things, you find that things change their state at that point, spiritual wise. So this sanctification or separation of 3 is a necessary thing. Go ahead.
The same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai, for they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel.
Now, the children of Israel has to have a go-between as far as dealing with Yahweh, because they cannot go directly to Yahweh. Matter of fact, they asked not to go directly to Yahweh. Once the power of Yahweh was shown unto the children of Israel, they was like, look, we don't want nothing to do with this right here. All right, you go talk to him and then come back to us and tell us what he said. Don't let him talk to us no more. We don't want that lightning, this fire and all that. We don't want nothing to do with that. So this situation has a go-between. But what you're about to read here is the covenant and marriage vows. So this is what sometimes gives people the belief that, oh, this is why you need a preacher to stand in between the woman and the man, because Israel is the woman, Yahweh is the husband. This is about to be a marriage. So they said, okay, you got Moshe standing here in the middle. So people said, well, you must have to have this other entity. That other entity was there because they couldn't go to Yahweh. That's not necessary in the situation between a man and a woman. There's not a situation where somebody else got to go and talk for you. That's that stuff we used to do when we was in school. Do you like me? Check yes. Get at the Keisha. We don't need that. You needed that when you were scared. Go ahead.
Verse 4, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed.
These are stipulations of the covenant. See? And everything that we do after that, we have been born and then reborn into this covenant. So it behooves you to go through the covenant and find out what the things of the covenant are. Why do you think every so often, every so many years, the children of Israel would go and read the law again? Why? Because this is the covenant that you got yourself in. Ain't no new parts of the covenant for you. That thing where they tell you, you got a personal Lord and Savior, that ain't no way in this book. They ain't nothing personally catered to you. You entered into the same covenant that the people who was into the covenant before was in. That's the same one that you joined on to. So if you don't understand the covenant, it's because you have decided not to read the things that explain the covenant. Go ahead.
You know, it's funny. The first thing he says is, if you will obey.
First thing people take out the vows. I don't want that obey it now. No, I might love, I might cherish, but I will not obey. That's not going to work. Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests.
Not a tribe of priests, a kingdom of priests. So Yahweh is already moving on a higher level than what we have right now. He's already moved past the Levitical priesthood. And he made that step, of course, even with dealing with Yahshua, because him being the high priest, he came out of the tribe of Yehudah. Now he has already done something with a priest outside of the tribe of Levi. But he had already said from the beginning, you're going to be a kingdom of priests, not a tribe of priests. Go ahead.
And an holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Israel. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him.
Right. These are the statutes. These are the things of the covenant. Go ahead.
And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahweh has spoken, we will do.
We heard the things of the covenant, and we said, I do. Do you agree to take this God, to love and honor and cherish him forever? I do. Go ahead.
And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yah.
All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 3. Jeremiah chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 1 through 14. See, the nations want to be a part of this, but they want to dictate how they're going to be a part of this. And that ain't going to work. Jeremiah chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 1 through 14.
They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But you have played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, says Yah.
Now, you have to look at that in several aspects. Look at the loving kindness, the mercy, the forgiveness that Yahweh has. He says, you know, according to what's written, according to his own law, once you cross that line, he has no more obligation to deal with you. But Yahweh said, I still dealt with you. I had no more obligation to deal with you. But I still dealt with you. Go ahead.
Lift up your eyes unto the high places, and see where you have not been lain with. In the ways have you sat for them, as the Arabian in the wilderness, and you have polluted the land with your whoredoms and with your wickedness. Therefore the showers have been withholden, and there has been no latter rain, and you had a whore's forehead. You refuse to be ashamed.
Refuse to be ashamed. This is that stiff neck. I will not turn no matter what. It says, therefore the showers have been withholden. If the showers have been withholden, all the stuff that you growing to try to feed your family, it ain't growing. But when you stiff neck and rebellious, you still walk around angry. I ain't gonna repent. I ain't gonna say nothing. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna starve. That ain't gonna work. Go ahead.
Will you not from this time cry unto me, my father, you art the guide of my youth? Will he reserve his anger forever? Will he keep it to the end? Behold, you have spoken and done evil things as you could. Yahweh said also unto me in the days of Josiah the king, have you seen that which backsliding Israel has done? She's gone up upon every mountain and under every green tree, and there has played the harlot.
Right. These green trees, understand that they have been worshiping under these things. So when people then decided to bring the Christmas tree in their house, they really don't understand just how wicked it was. They were already into this wickedness long before there was ever any Christ. So when they try to tell you that their little Christmas tree got something to do with Christ, that's a lie and the truth ain't in it. They've been worshiping these trees. So much, in fact, Yahweh said, don't bring now one of them things near my altar. And he made the tree. It's his tree. But he don't want it near his altar. Because he know the mindset of people. Go ahead.
And I said, after she had done all these things, turn you on to me. But she returned not, and her treacherous sister Yehudah saw it.
Right. So when you deal with the situation of Yaakov, who has Leah and Rachel, Yahweh is making him live out the situation that is going to take place between Judah and Israel. So it's more stuff that's going on there. There's prophecy being lived out. Go ahead.
And I saw, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I had put her away, and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Yehudah feared not, but went and played the harlot also.
And then when you read this, you say, wait a minute, he gave, Israel a bill of divorce. Yeah, but not really. Keep reading.
And it came to pass through the lightness of her whoredom that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and with stocks.
Stones and stocks. Stocks is wood. So between the wood and the stone, you got Islam that worship the stone. You got Christianity that worship that piece of wood that they call cross. Go ahead.
And yet for all this, her treacherous sister Yehudah has not turned on to me with her whole heart, but faintly, says Yah.
So a treacherous sister sat there, watched it, but still did the same thing. She had an opportunity to turn. You saw what was done. You saw what happened. You still did it. That makes you even more treacherous than the first one. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto me, The backsliding Israel has justified herself more than the treacherous Yehuda.
Uh-huh.
Go and proclaim these words toward the north, and say, Return, you backsliding Israel, says Yahweh, and I will not cause mine anger to fall upon you. For I am merciful, says Yahweh, and I will not keep anger forever.
I am merciful, says Yahweh, and I will not keep anger forever. And that's something that we have to deal with. Go ahead.
Only acknowledge your lawlessness, that you have transgressed against Yahweh your Elohim, and have scattered your ways to the strangers under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice, says Yah. Turn, O backsliding children, says Yahweh, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I'll bring you to Zion.
So already up further where he says, I have given her a bill of divorce. All right, in verse 8. Then in verse 14, turn, O backsliding children, says Yahweh, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family. He's already renewing his marriage covenant. In verse 8, he divorcing. In verse 14, we back together. They can't get rid of Israel. Can't get rid of this woman. He loves her too much. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 23. Ezekiel 23, and let's start at verse 1.
The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the teats of their virginity.
Now, you have to ask yourself, though, okay, these two women, Judah and Israel, they ain't even really set up yet. You're talking about in Egypt. These women have done these things. Wait a minute, we don't really have a law yet. Yahweh's still counting. Wait a minute, but we ain't married yet. You ain't gave us no law yet. He said they did this in Egypt. But you didn't deal with the covenant stuff until after you brought us out of Egypt. So you was counting before? Go ahead.
You know, even when you think of Leah and Rachel, they were the daughters of one mother, right?
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Verse 4. And the names of them were Aholah the elder, and Aholibah her sister.
Uh-huh.
And they were mine, and they bare sons and daughters. Thus were their names. Samaria is Aholah, and Jerusalem Aholibah.
Uh-huh.
And Aholah played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, on the Assyrians her neighbors.
Right. So then when we take part of these so-called holidays and all of these things, we are doing exactly that. We are playing the harlot with other nations because we look at these things and we say, oh, this looks cool. So you have each one of these so-called holidays come from other countries and things that they once worshipped. So Halloween come around, the Day of the Dead. Now people are then emboldened to go and walk around with skeleton suits on, with masks with the eyeballs hanging out, and walk down the street and ask for candy. That's somebody else God. That's somebody else worship practice. And although that may seem fun for people to set that up for their kids, we are now committing adultery against Yahweh our Elohim. Trying to make some fun activity for the kids. Go ahead.
What we don't see is that those candy that we're giving, and just look at it as your offerings being
It
presented.
is. It ain't looking at it like no offering. They made offerings unto the dead. And if you go to the right house of them people who worship the dead, you're going to find a whole meal at the front door. What is this? Who put collard greens on the steps? Oh no, that's a full-fledged offering to the dead on their doorstep. See, even when we do stuff, we halfway do it. Like when we do our love Christmas lasts, that one day. But you start going back to those songs. The 12 days of Christmas. Wait a minute, 12 days? We ain't got no money to do 12. You know what I'm saying? You're like, wait a minute, 12. Let your kids come back to you. Wait a minute, Dad, I've been doing some reading. It's 12 days. You ain't giving us nothing but a gift for one day. You need to step your game up. You got 11 more days of Christmas. Oh, we did. This Christmas thing is definitely over now. You can believe that. We ain't doing 12 days of that, Jack. I'm paying bills till June just to get for this one day. You crazy? Right. You find out that we're not doing it like they doing it. You find out you're doing just a little something. You start doing the research and find out what all they do. And you're like, oh no, they go all the way out with their paganism. You just a little junior pagan. Go ahead, bro.
When you consider the preparation that we did to become closer to Passover, it's the same thing that they're doing in a different way. They're preparing within them 12 days.
Yeah, they preparing. You go in, man, and you see all of these things, man. I start running into stuff, the Yule log. And he's like, what are these people doing? It's a ritual, man, to go and cut down that tree. They can't get that. We got that little one tree from Target, and we just put it in the attic. And then when Christmas come around, we go back in the attic, and we get our little Target tree back out, and we set it up. Oh, no. The pagans have to go get them a new tree every year. You can't use the same tree because it's all about the rebirth of this entity who has died and come back to life in this tree. So you need a new tree to worship this. See, y'all, even when we did it, we ain't do it right. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 6, which were clothed with blue, captains and rulers, all of them desirable young men, horsemen riding upon horses. Thus she committed her whoredoms with them, with all them that were chosen men of Assyria, and with all on whom she doted. With all their idols she defiled herself. Neither left she her whoredoms brought from Egypt, for in her youth they lay with her, and they bruised the breast of her virginity, and poured their whoredom upon her. Wherefore I have delivered her into the hand of her lovers, into the hand of the Assyrians, upon whom she doted. These discovered her nakedness. They took her sons and her daughters, and slew her with the sword. And she became famous among women, for they had executed judgment upon her. And when her sister Aholibah saw this, she was more corrupt in her inordinate love than she, and in her whoredoms more than her sister in her whoredoms. She doted upon the Assyrians, her neighbors, captains and rulers, clothed most gorgeously, horsemen riding upon horses, all of them desirable young men. Then I saw that she was defiled, that they took both one way, and that she increased her whoredoms. For when she saw men portrayed upon the wall, the images of the Chaldeans portrayed with vermilion, girded with girdles upon their loins, exceeding in dyed attire upon their heads, all of them princes to look to, after the manner of the Babylonians of Chaldea, the land of their nativity. And as soon as she saw them with her eyes, she doted upon them, and sent messengers unto them into Chaldea. And the Babylonians came to her into the bed of love, and they defiled her with their whoredom, and she was polluted with them, and her mind was alienated from them. So she discovered her whoredoms, and discovered her nakedness. Then my mind was alienated from her, like as my mind was alienated from her sister.
My mind was alienated from her, like as my mind was alienated from her sister. There's a reason why when you first start coming into the word and you hear more experienced people in the word refer to the Christian church, it sounds really, aggressive, So you start hearing people saying, saying that this whore that sits on the corner, and you're like, man, that's kind of harsh. And then you consider what Yahweh calls whoredom, which is the worship of other gods. Then you start breaking down the worship of other gods and how many different ones you can find on Sunday morning. Oh my God. It is absolutely amazing how many different gods are worshiped on Sunday morning. The things that we start encountering, you start figuring out, wait a minute, she's not just one time over a problem. She's many times over a problem. This is why you talk about, Babylon the Great, the mystery of harlots, because this whole thing of spreading democracy is all about forcing Christianity and its thought processes all over the world. They invade, kill, maim, destroy so they can set up democracy, which will definitely be followed right behind with Christianity. They go hand in hand. And she has put every god under the sun in her worship practices. All of the things about worshiping the two-headed god Janus, I never learned that in a club. I never learned that among any thugs in the street. I learned that in church. That's what watch night service was. I never ever heard it anywhere else but the church. Where did they get it from? It don't even make any sense of why you're even doing it. And they do a whole ritual. You turn around, look at the back of the wall. They count down to New Year's. You turn around and look forward. You just did a mock ritual in the church of the two-headed god Janus. It ain't nowhere in this book, but everybody do it on New Year's Eve. You got that from your church. Most other bad things that we got, we can say, oh yeah, that pimp named Fontaine showed me this right here. I was hanging out, I was down there at the liquor store. The pimp called me over, come here, let me show you something. Later on, when that bad thing happened, you say, oh, I know where I got this from. And Fontaine showed me this. No. When you get down to these disgusting worship practices, no, you learn that on Sunday morning. That stuff with Easter, that's a fertility ritual. You didn't learn that from no thugs in the street. You learned that from that dude in that suit sitting up front. That's where you got that from. So you find out that there are many chances of spiritual whoredom that goes on Sunday morning. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 23 and verse 19. Yet she multiplied her whoredoms, in calling to remembrance the days of her youth, wherein she had played the harlot in the land of Egypt.
And that's, once again, you have to look at, if she played the harlot in the land of Egypt, Yahweh was counting from the very minute that he got with Israel, regardless as the physical part of when they stood there and made those vows. Yahweh has already said she is. Because in Egypt, this ain't happened yet. But he's still counting this. But then again, you have to look at what happened when Yahshua met the woman at the well. He said, where's your husband? She said, I don't have a husband. He said, you've had 5 husbands. He would count something totally different than what she would count. Go ahead.
For she doted upon their paramours, whose flesh is as the flesh of asses, and whose issue is like the issue of horses. Thus you call to remembrance the lewdness of your youth, and bruising your teats by the Egyptians for the paps of your youth. Therefore, O Aholibah, thus says the Adonai, behold, I will raise up your lovers against you, from whom your mind is alienated, and I'll bring them against you on every side. The Babylonians and all the Chaldeans, Pekah and Shoah, Koah, and all the Assyrians with them, all of them desirable young men, captains and rulers, great masters and renowned, all of them riding upon horses. And they shall come against you with chariots, wagons, and wheels, and with an assembly of people, which shall set against you buckler and shield and helmet round about. And I'll set judgment before them, and they shall judge you according to their judgments. And I'll set my jealousy against you, and they shall deal furiously with you. They shall take away your nose and your ears, and your raiment shall fall by the sword. They shall take away your sons and your daughters, and your residue shall be devoured by the fire.
So when we consider all of the things that we have had to go through in all the various lands, understand that each one of those things is because of breaking the marriage covenant that we agreed to. And then not only were we born into it, we then got baptized again into it. Go ahead.
They shall also strip you out of your clothes and take away your fair jewels. Thus will I make your lewdness to cease from you, and your whoredom brought from the land of Egypt, so that you shall not lift up your eyes unto them, nor remember Egypt any more. Thus says the Adonai Yah, behold, I will deliver you into the hand of them whom you hated, into the hand of them from whom your mind is alienated. And they shall deal with you hatefully, and shall take away all your labor, and shall leave you naked and bare, and the nakedness of your whoredoms shall be discovered, both your lewdness and your whoredoms. I will do these things unto you, because you have gone a whoring after the heathen, and because you are polluted with their idols. You have walked in the way of your sister, therefore will I give her cup into your hand. Thus says the Adonai Elohim, you shall drink of your sister's cup deep and large. You shall be laughed to scorn and had in derision, and it containeth much. You shall be defiled with drunkenness and sorrow, with the cup of astonishment and desolation, with the cup of your sister Samaria. You shall even drink it and suck it out, and you shall break the sherds thereof, and pluck off your own breast, for I have spoken it, says the Adonai Yah. Therefore thus says the Adonai Yah, because you have forgotten me, and cast me behind your back, therefore bear you also your lewdness and your whoredoms. Yahweh said moreover unto me, Son of man, will you judge Aholah and Aholibah? Yea, declare unto them their abominations, that they have committed adultery, and blood is in their hands. And with their idols have they committed adultery, and have also caused their sons, whom they bear unto me, to pass for them through the fire to devour them.
So we then become responsible for the things that we allow our children to learn and take part of. They taught their children these things. So when those people grew up, when them kids grew up, then they start partaking into those things. Go ahead.
Moreover, this have they done unto me. They have defiled my sanctuary in the same day, and have profaned my Sabbaths. For when they had slain their children to their idols, then they came the same day into my sanctuary to profane it. And lo, thus have they done in the midst of mine house.
So consider that. Yahweh made a point by saying in the same day, you went and did evil, sacrificed the children, and then in the same day showed up. Shabbat Shalom. And we can't figure out why Yahweh ended up having those holy days right there as the sun go down, beginning of that day. Hey, you ain't did nothing stupid yet. I ain't saying you ain't gonna do nothing stupid later on, but you ain't did nothing stupid yet. It's the beginning of this day. So same day, he said, man, you had just done that. You just sacrificed your kid. And then you came and worshiped me on the same day? Go ahead.
And even in the Christian setup of things, you know, you go out and you do your Halloween, you show up to church the next day. Now they done moved to what they call it Hallelujah night.
Yep.
Are you doing it in the church?
Yeah. I mean, you might as well. It's a whole, you know, saying demons and goblins and all that in the church. It's fitting. It's fitting. That's where exactly where they need to be. They need to have some half eyeball people walking around the church. It's absolutely fitting. That's what they need to do. Halloween at. Go ahead.
Verse 40. And furthermore, that you have sent for men to come from far, unto whom a messenger was sent. And lo, they came, for whom you did wash yourself, painted your eyes, and decked yourself with ornaments.
Yeah, painted your eyes. You know, we put that makeup on. We like, I'm finna get so pretty. Right. Right. He said, yeah, you did that for them. Look at all the effort that you put into them. You forgot I gave you that stuff though. He didn't turn around and say, okay, it's a bad situation for you to paint your eyes. Problem is you just painted your eyes for somebody else. But I gave you that paint though. I gave you those shoes. I gave you that embroidered work. Go ahead.
And satteth upon a stately bed, and a table prepared before it, whereupon you had set mine incense and mine oil. And a voice of a multitude being at ease was with her. And with the men of the common sort were brought Sabaeans from the wilderness, which put bracelets upon their hands and beautiful crowns upon their heads. Then said I unto her that was old in adulteries, Will they now commit whoredoms with her, and she with them? Yet they went in unto her, as they go in unto a woman that plays the harlot. So went they in unto Aholah, and unto Aholibah, the lewd women. And the righteous men, they shall judge them after the manner of adulteresses, and after the manner of women that shed blood, because they are adulteresses, and blood is in their hands. For thus says the Adonai Yah, I'll bring up a company upon them, and will give them to be removed and spoiled. And the company shall stone them with stones, and dispatch them with their swords. They shall slay their sons and their daughters, and burn up their houses with fire.
So then one generation has to deal with the things that were committed by another generation, because Yahweh then is going to still renew this covenant, even though he has to punish that generation that has operated in that way. Go ahead.
Thus will I cause lewdness to cease out of the land, that all women may be taught not to do after your lewdness. And they shall recompense your lewdness upon you, and you shall bear the sins of your idols, and you shall know that I am the Adonai Yah.
Right. And if you don't consider these things, it says that when a land is, when you deal with the things of adultery, it then said you have shed blood in the land. So when you back that up and deal with it, it says when the land is defiled by the shedding of blood, it can only be cleansed by the shedding of blood that of the people who defiled it. So what we will end up reading is, oh, this looks like punishment coming from Yahweh. No, it's like, I got to cleanse that land. So you remember when you shed that blood? Now I got to have some of yours to be shed so we can cleanse it. I can't get his blood if he wasn't the one that did it. Now I got to get the blood of the one that did it, and that's going to cleanse the land. So for that next generation to then have this cleansed land, somebody's blood has to be shed to cleanse it. That is called atonement. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19. See, we're about to keep some things that people don't even really understand. See, the land cannot continually be defiled. It has to be cleansed. This is a process that must take place. So when you look at what's happening in the land of Israel now, everybody like, no, get these people out of here. No. That land has been defiled, and somebody's blood got to be shed to cleanse it. Leave them people alone. They need to be right there. Because I don't want it to be my blood to be shed. No, leave them right there. Leave them alone. People like, no, Storm need to come through and get them all out. I'm like, no, Storm, go around the backside. Don't bother those people at all. Somebody's blood got to be shed to cleanse that land. And it need to be the people who have defiled that land. So no. Don't move them. See, sometimes people think you're thinking too far ahead. No, you need to slow down. Wait a minute now. You're just ready to get the land. No. It need to be cleansed. Otherwise, you're going to suffer the same issues that they had. Matthew chapter 19, and we're going to read verses 1 through 9.
And it came to pass that when Yahshua had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee and came into the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? And he answered and said unto them, Have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they two shall be one flesh? Wherefore they are no more two, but one flesh. What therefore Elohim has joined together, let no man put asunder. They say unto him, Why did Moshe then command to give a writing of divorcement, and to put her away?
So then when you go back, verse 6, wherefore they are no more two, but one flesh. Becoming spiritually one is something that may take the rest of your lives to become spiritually one. Not naturally one. Naturally one happens in one night. Becoming spiritually one may be a long process. Go ahead.
He says unto them, Moshe, because of the hardness of your heart, suffered you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so.
So, according to Yahshua, it was already not a situation where it was okay. Just so that mess would not abound, he suffered you the ability to do that. Go ahead.
And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, commits adultery. And whoso marries her which is put away does commit adultery.
So consider that Yahweh then had the right to deal with Israel in a certain way, but his love and mercy allowed him to deal otherwise. Let's go to Revelation chapter 19. So Yahshua confirms the only real reason then was adultery. So when Yahweh did bring the cause of adultery against Israel, he had a valid cause. Revelation chapter 9, and let's read verses 6 through 10.
19.
Um,
Revelation 19.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Revelation 19.
And I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thunderings, saying, Hallelujah, for the Adonai Elohim omnipotent reigns.
Right. And we hear hallelujah, and people keep saying, oh, he has many names. But all these angels and everything that we keep hearing out of heaven keep saying the same thing. Praise Yah. I ain't heard not one say, praise the Lord. Praise God. Praise Jehovah. I ain't none of that. Every time these angels speaking, they say hallelujah. And every time you see in here, praise ye the Lord, look down at the bottom. It said, oh, in Hebrew it say hallelujah. Go ahead.
Let us be glad and rejoice, and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife has made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints.
Mm-hmm.
And he says unto me, Write, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he says unto me, These are the true sayings of Elohim. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See you do it not. I am your fellow servant, and of your brethren that have the testimony of Yahshua. Worship Elohim, for the testimony of Yahshua is the spirit of prophecy.
Now, you have to also take that last line, that the testimony of Yahshua is the spirit of prophecy. When you run into some of them purple people, they will then turn around and start saying that anything that you deal with, you know, in the New Testament, that Yahshua is saying that now you are dealing with prophecy. So now again, you need to uncover your head if you mention anything that he has said. It's one of the most twisted doctrines that you ever gonna run into, and it just never stops with just the level of how twisted this doctrine is. But just so you know where that come from when you run into it, let's go to Song of Solomon, chapter 3.
Songs of Solomon, chapter 3 and verse 1. By night on my bed I sought him, whom my soul loves. I sought him, but I found him not.
Now, we see that even after all of these things of Yahweh still being upset with his wife Israel because of the things that have taken place, you also see that there is a renewing of the covenant, so that Yahweh is never, even in the situation where he says, okay, I hand her a bill of divorce. Then next thing you know, you see Yahweh dealing right back with his wife. So what he's dealing with is having to deal with that next generation that are born into that covenant. And like I said, with us, we are in a two-level situation where we are born into that covenant and then got baptized into the covenant and renewed it again. Go ahead.
I will rise now and go about the city in the streets, and in the broad ways I will seek him whom my soul loves. I sought him, but I found him not. The watchmen that go about the city found me, to whom I said, Saw you him whom my soul loves? It was but a little that I passed from them, but I found him whom my soul loves. I beheld him, I would not let him go, until I had brought him into my mother's house, and into the chamber of her that conceived me. I charge you, O you daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes and by the hinds of the field, that you stir not up, nor awake my love, till he please. Who is this that comes out of the wilderness like the pillars of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, with all powders of the merchant? Behold his bed, which is Solomon's. 80 valiant men are about it, of the valiant of Israel. They all hold swords, being expert in war. Every man has his sword upon his thigh because of fear in the night. King Solomon made himself a chariot of the wood of Lebanon. He made the pillars thereof of silver, the bottom thereof of gold, the covering of it of purple, the midst thereof being paved with love, for the daughters of Jerusalem. Go forth, O you daughters of Zion, and behold King Shlomo with the crown wherewith his mother crowned him in the day of his espousals, and in the day of the gladness of his heart.
Keep going.
Behold, you are fair, my love. Behold, you are fair. You have dove's eyes within your locks. Your hair is as the flock of the goats that appear from Mount Gilead.
Right. So you have several things, going on. You have the bride speaking, and then the bridegroom is now speaking within this, and he's dealing with more than just what it appears to be. There are things going on between Yahweh and Israel within this situation of what's being written here. Go ahead.
Your teeth are like a flock of sheep that are even shorn, which came up from the washing, whereof everyone bare twins, and none is barren among them. Your lips are like a thread of scarlet, and your speech is comely. Your temples are like a piece of a pomegranate within your locks. Your neck is like the tower of David built for an armory, wherein there hang 1,000 bucklers, all shields of mighty men. Your 2 breasts are like 2 young roes that are twins, which feed among the lilies. Until the daybreak and the shadows flee away, I will get me to the mountain of myrrh and to the hill of frankincense. You are all fair, my love. There's no spot in you. Come with me from Lebanon, my spouse, with me from Lebanon. Look from the top of Amana, from the top of Shinar and Hermon, from the lions' dens, from the mountains of the leopards. You have ravished my heart, my sister, my spouse. You have ravished my heart with one of your eyes, with one chain of your neck. How fair is your love, my sister, my spouse? How much better is your love than wine, and the smell of your ointments than all spices. Your lips, O my spouse, drop as the honeycomb. Honey and milk are under your tongue, and the smell of your garments is like the smell of Lebanon.
And when you look at this graphic, I really like the way that this was put together. If you look at the clothing of the woman, it is the same color and everything as the building of this church, because the woman is the church. That is the wife. So there's a little bit more, I know sometimes you glance at things and then you go back down. There's a little bit more going on in that graphic than some of y'all might be able to comprehend right away, especially if you just, glance at it and move on. Go ahead.
Verse 12. A garden enclosed is my sister, my spouse, a spring shut up, a fountain sealed. Your plants are an orchard of pomegranates, with pleasant fruits, camphor, with spikenard, spikenard and saffron, calamus and cinnamon, with all trees of frankincense, myrrh and aloes, with all the chief spices. A fountain of gardens, a well of living waters and streams from Lebanon. Awake, O north wind, and come thus south. Blow upon my garden, that the spices thereof may flow out. Let my beloved come into his garden, and eat his pleasant fruits.
All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 49.
Isaiah chapter 49 and verse 1. Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, you people from afar. Yahweh has called me from the womb, from the bowels of my mother has he made mention of my name. And he has made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand has he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver has he hid me, and said unto me, You are my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. Then I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for naught, and in vain. Yet surely my judgment is with Yahweh, and my work with my Elohim.
It says, and he said unto me, You are my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. So then you have to do some things that really are not necessarily about you. You got to do some things for me because you are going to be the representative that I'm going to use, in which my glory shall be shown. Go ahead.
And now, says Yahweh that formed me from the womb, to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Yahweh, and my Elohim shall be my strength. And he said, It is a light thing that you should be my servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give you for a light to the Gentiles, that you may be my salvation unto the end of the earth. Thus says Yahweh, the Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despiseth, to him whom the nation abhorreth, to a servant of rulers. Kings shall see and arise. Princes also shall worship, because of Yahweh that is faithful, and the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose you. Thus says Yahweh, In an acceptable time have I heard you, and in a day of salvation have I helped you, and I will preserve you, and give you for a covenant of the people, to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritages.
He says, I will preserve you and give you for a covenant of the people. So here it is, the children of Israel entered into a covenant with Yahweh, but then the rest of the earth is going to have to deal with that covenant through you. This is why he says, if it's a situation of divorce, that means you got rid of one to get another one. Yahweh said, no. No, I'm married unto Israel. And the rest of the nations of the earth that's going to deal with that covenant, they can't move Israel out the way to do it. That would be divorce and marry another. He said, no, I don't play like that. They're going to deal with this covenant, but they're going to deal with that covenant and deal with you. Or else they ain't dealing with the covenant. Go ahead.
That you may say to the prisoners, Go forth. To them that are in darkness, show yourselves. They shall feed in the ways, and their pastures shall be in all high places. They shall not hunger nor thirst, neither shall the heat nor sun smite them. For he that has mercy on them shall lead them, even by the springs of water shall he guide them. And I'll make all my mountains a way, and my highways shall be exalted. Behold, these shall come from far, and lo, these from the north and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. Sing, O heavens, and be joyful, O earth, and break forth into singing, O mountains. For Yahweh has comforted his people, and will have mercy upon his afflicted.
Yahweh has comforted his people and will have mercy upon his afflicted. He is going to restore all of those things. Go ahead.
But Zion said, Yahweh has forsaken me, and my Adonai has forgotten me.
Right. Yahweh has forsaken me, and my Adonai, my master, has forgotten me. When we're going through something, the things that we think about is the present situation. So what's real to us is what's real right now. But Yahweh working on something. Go ahead.
Can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget you.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, I have graven you upon the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me.
Yahweh says it's not possible for him to be able to forget Israel. It is not possible. You are continually before me. There ain't nothing I can do to get rid of the thought of Israel. When Yahweh got ready to punish Israel, he had to turn his back so he wouldn't see any of it. Go ahead.
Your children shall make haste. Your destroyers and they that made you waste shall go forth of you. Lift up your eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together and come to you. As I live, says Yahweh, you shall surely clothe you with them all, as with an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. For your waste and your desolate places and the land of your destruction shall even now be too narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that swallowed you up shall be far away. The children which you shall have, after you have lost the other, shall say again in your ears, the place is too strait for me. Give place to me that I may dwell. Then shall you say in your heart, who has begotten me these, seeing I have lost my children, and I am desolate, a captive, and removing to and fro? And who has brought up these? Behold, I was left alone. These, where had they been?
And you know, we have to consider some things. Right now, it seems to be the fashionable thing to adopt little black babies. All the stars want to adopt little black babies. Every time you turn around, you see, you know, all these people, and then they just show up. Okay, where the little black baby just come from? Who look? You see a room full of Gentiles, and the little black baby coming. I ain't talking about no baby who look like, okay, they have been married and there's an interracial couple, and they're no. We talking about jet black baby, but ain't no jet black mama or daddy. We talking, wait a minute now, no, ain't there one of y'all fathered or mothered that baby right there? You know what I'm saying? That baby, you know what I'm saying, very rich chocolate. You know, wait a minute, where this baby come from here? And every time you turn around, there's a new star with another black baby. This has become the fashionable thing. We the new Gucci purse. That's some sad stuff, but it is what it is. It's the thing that they must have on their arm now. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 22. Thus says the Adonai, behold, I will lift up my hand to the Gentiles and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring your sons in their arms, and your daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders, and kings shall be your nursing fathers, and their queens your nursing mothers. They shall bow down to you with their face toward the earth, and lick up the dust of your feet. And you shall know that I am Yahweh, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me.
And understand, Yahweh knows how to deal with that within measure, because he knows what the people of the earth have done to try and turn away the children of Israel from all manner of righteousness. So those who have tried to turn Israel toward righteousness, why do you think you have so many Gentiles now doing videos saying these people are the children of Israel? Oh, they making sure they separate themselves from the rest of their folks. Like, you know what? Look, I've been doing this. I've been watching. Look, I need there to be a separation when this judgment comes. Understand, they're Euro Gentiles. We want to, look at, everything in a certain way, but you have to consider during slavery, there were Gentiles who had absolutely no liking for it. They were hiding slaves, helping these people get free. They hated the mistreatment that black people received. But then they had to hide or they would kill them too. So this same thing is happening amongst people. They are amongst their people. People start talking about us. They sit there and they trying to be quiet. They biting their lip. Because if they come out too far, then they have to deal with rebuke of their own people. And then if they come to the wrong one of us and say, did you know you was a Jew? We're going to cuss them out. Who you calling a Jew? They're like, man, I get cussed out from them and my own people. They're like, you know what? It's better for me to just keep quiet. But these people are working out their salvation. So Yahweh knows the levels of how he's going to have to deal with that. The ones who have been the most boastful, Them the ones that are going to have to deal with that. Go ahead.
Verse 24. Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? But thus says Yahweh, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered.
Right. We're talking about people who have been ruled over and they don't have the substance or the ability to get anywhere. Yahweh said, I'm getting all them. Everywhere I can find my people, they going to release my people. Go ahead.
For I will contend with him that contends with you, and I'll save your children. And I'll feed them that oppress you with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Yaakov.
Right. Yahweh says, I'm going to renew this covenant with my wife, but see, now I got to go get all my children. They all got to come home. So this is why it says that these people will bring back the children of Israel on every kind of beast they can find as an offering. It will be an offering. Yahweh is going to give them so much vexation of spirit that they're going to want to deliver us. They're going to want us away from them. So we got to get Yahweh back his people, because the more they keep being here, the more vexation we keep getting. Understand, coming out of Egypt, he wasn't doing that because it was the good, the goodness in Pharaoh's heart. Pharaoh like, these plagues got to go away from here. Get rid of these people. Let them go. Yahweh delayed it so that he can make a spectacle out of Pharaoh. No. You've been ruling over them for quite some time. So we're going to stretch this thing out so all the nations are going to hear of this and know not to deal a certain way with my people. Did you get to the end of that, brother?
Yes.
Let's go to Hosea chapter 2.
Hosea chapter 2 and verse 14. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her.
Right. Yahweh is now trying to get his wife to get back to the things of the covenant that they originally made with one another. So instead of being as hard as he possibly could be, he is now going to deal with that in a softer manner. Go ahead.
And I will give her her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope. And she shall sing there, as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be at that day, says Yahweh, that you shall call me Ishai, and shall call me no more Baali.
Right. They won't be around here talking about Lord. See? They're going to deal with me as the husband that I am. Instead of calling me by the names that she has received from the nations, from them heathens, who have basically gave us names so that it would fit the pagan gods that they worship. So you gotta think, Yahweh is going all out of his way to bring the children of Israel back to him so that he can renew, his marriage vows with his wife Israel. And we trying to go everywhere under the sun. We trying to travel the world. And Yahweh gonna go all over the world and run us right out of there. Everywhere we going, they're gonna be running us right out. And we can't figure out why. They're like, no. Hey, you one of Yahweh people. You ain't supposed to be here. What you doing here? Come on, y'all, let's grab him and take him back. Go ahead.
You know, in every way, Yahweh has tried to give us an example of his pain, from allowing us to be husbands to allowing us to be fathers, and then allowing us to be called by every other name by all these other nations,
Exactly.
just like they gave him many names.
Right. Go ahead.
Verse 17, for I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. And I'll break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely.
You mean this covenant that was there originally? You mean? I'm going to make a covenant with the beasts of the field. Wait a minute. Right. Like it was before. He brought all the animals to man and said, let me see what he going to call them. It's hard to walk up face to face with a lion when he's trying to eat you. That's a difficult situation right there. Trust me, that name would have been different. Sock, what you call this? I call that get the hell on, Yahweh. That's what I call this right here. Cause when I saw it, I got the hell on. I didn't stay nowhere near this thing right here. All them names would have been different. This thing yawn and he can eat like your whole chest cavity at one time. Oh no, I'm not getting too close to that. Go ahead.
And I'll betroth you unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth you unto me in righteousness, and in judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercies. I will even betroth you unto me in faithfulness, and you shall know Yahweh. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, says Yahweh, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth. And the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil, and they shall hear Yezreel.
Right. This is joy and mirth. And I have to remind people, there's wine, and then the corn is what you make corn liquor from. This is a nice, pleasant situation going on right here. Go ahead.
And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I'll have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I'll say to them which were not my people, you are my people. And they shall say, you are my Elohim.
They shall say, you are my Elohim. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 55. Isaiah 55, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Ho, everyone that thirsts, come you to the waters, and he that has no money, come you, buy and eat. Yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Wherefore do you spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfies not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat you that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear, and come unto me. Hear, and your soul shall live. And I'll make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of Dawid. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and commander to the people. Behold, you shall call a nation that knoweth not, and nations that knew not you shall run on to you, because of Yahweh your Elohim.
Right, and instead of us running after all of the nations going to run behind us. And in a sense, the nations already do it. They don't do it as a whole, but anything we do, give it a little time. Everybody else doing it. We dress a certain way, give it a second. Everybody else dressed that way. We make our cars a certain way, give it a second. Everybody else doing it. When we do something, it is in them to follow us. The problem is we leading in all the wrong things. But they doing what they're supposed to be doing. They mimicking Israel. Just Israel don't know they Israel. Go ahead.
And for the Holy One of Israel, for he has glorified you. Seek you Yahweh while he may be found. Call you upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto Yahweh, and he will have mercy upon him. And to our Elohim, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, says Yahweh. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
And praise Yahweh, it is so. Because if we had to depend on our salvation based on the thoughts of man, we'd all be dead. Because in one way or another, we have felt a certain way. Even when Yahweh is at a point, he then still, you can see as it goes along, he then even repents of his own thing and backs up. But there were times where Yahweh was at the point where he was like, I'm about to kill off this whole nation and start over. And praise Yahweh, there was an intercessor that said, don't do that. Don't do that. Yahweh, don't do that. I know they're crazy. But don't do it, Yahweh. Don't do it. Go ahead.
For as the rain comes down and the snow from heaven, and returns not thither, but waters the earth, and makes it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. For you shall go out with joy, and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Instead of the thorn shall come up the fir tree, and instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree, and it shall be to Yahweh for a name, for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off. Thus says Yahweh, keep you judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed.
Right. These are then the instructions. Thus says Yahweh, keep you judgment and do justice. So even though Yahweh is still at the point of renewing all of his vows with his wife, there is still some situations where, okay, remember the things of the covenant, because we still have to walk in those things. Go ahead.
Blessed is the man that does this, and the son of man that lays hold on it, that keeps the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil.
Right. And you have people walking around talking about how much they love the Lord, will not touch the Sabbath day, have been utterly poisoned against the Sabbath day. Talking about it's an Old Testament thing that you don't have to deal with, and we can go all throughout the New Testament and run into the Sabbath day. Go ahead.
Neither let the son of the stranger that has joined himself to Yahweh speak, saying, Yahweh has utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree.
Now, neither let the son of the stranger that has joined himself to Yahweh speak, saying, Yahweh has utterly separated me from his people. So you have these strange people who teach these strange doctrines that only Israel is going to be saved. That wasn't so in the Old Testament, and it ain't so in the New Testament. So I don't know what testament they're getting this out of. They teaching something of their own mind, because they did not get it out of this book. Go ahead.
For thus says Yahweh unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant. Even unto them will I give in mine house, and within my walls a place and name better than of sons and of daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off.
See, it lets you know that when people read some of those parables in the New Testament, that they don't really understand what it is they're reading. When you talk about 10 virgins coming to the marriage, but only 5 of the virgins were allowed to go in unto the wedding, understand something. The first wife is Israel. If she don't go in, ain't nobody going in. See, folks want to be slick. They won't stab Israel, throw her in the ditch, and then they want to run in. That ain't gonna work. She don't go in, ain't nobody going in. Everybody dying. Ain't no nothing without her. So what the nation did, all right, well, we'll just present a fake Israel. Yeah, Yahweh see that too. He gonna take care of that business. Go ahead.
Also the sons of the stranger that joined themselves to Yahweh, to serve him, and to love the name of Yahweh, to be his servants, everyone that keeps the Sabbath from polluting it, and takes hold of my covenant. Even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted on mine altar, For mine house shall be called an house of prayer for all people.
For who people?
All people.
For Israel people.
All people.
So dark-skinned Israelite people.
All people.
You sure they said all people? What
Yes,
book?
sir. It said all people.
All people.
All people.
Okay.
Shall
All right.
be accepted.
Okay. Go ahead.
The Adonai, which gathers the outcasts of Israel, says, Yet will I gather others to him, beside those that are gathered onto him.
Right. So instead of us running around the earth trying to look for other nations and stuff like that, all the people who are going to deal with Yahweh, they're going to gather themselves unto them. So we should be able to see every nationality of people, even amongst ourselves in Israel. He said, oh, there go the Spanish who have joined themselves unto him. Oh, look, there go the Asians who have joined themselves unto them. Oh, look, all them people going to be in Israel. Well, we need to go looking for them for. Because if you go somewhere else, then you run into the people who have not joined themselves to Israel. And you may find yourself in a bowl or a stew or something with them people because they don't know your God. They don't know your God's ways. They don't keep your culture. The ones who come and cling unto you, now they know your culture. They will deal with you according to the culture. So you running off into somewhere else and they over there eating that bush meat or whatever that is. Man, you don't know what you're finna end up in. Because see, we look at certain things when we go places. But you find out, hey man, it's a whole nother culture behind going in certain places. You know, when you look at the brochure, they only tell you a few things about that particular place that you want to visit. Even sometimes when you go over there to Jamaica, they'll tell you, hey, you might want to stay on certain paths. What you mean? I want to meet my people. You gonna meet some people, all right? If you go down this wrong street over there, you gonna know why they say "booyaka." You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you might want to stay on this path. If you go over there, you sure better have somebody who done already been over there. You might want to make sure you with somebody who lives there. Because it might not go good for you now. Don't go stay. This is the tourist route. Okay? Stay on the tourist route. We have made everything to appear beautiful for you. All you going to see is mango and coconuts. That's it. But you got to stay on this road, though. Because if you turn left, you're going to see something. And we can't help you. Right? You want to stay where those people deal with your culture. Let them come to you. Then that way you can deal with good mango and coconuts. Because there's some bad mango and coconuts out there. And what can you say if you went there? If you walked outside the hedge, what's going to be your excuse to Yahweh? Yahweh, come get me. Okay, yeah, I'm thinking about come get you, but I'm trying to figure out how the hell you got there. Why are you there? Right. Go ahead.
That was it.
All right, where we going, brother? That was Isaiah. Let's go to Ezekiel 36. Ain't nothing worse than being somewhere you ain't supposed to be and you got to make a phone call and tell somebody come get you. If folks give you the car, all you do is go to work and you come back home. Yeah, ma'am. That's all I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And then you go see Larry and the car break down. Now you got to make that call from Larry's house. Uh-oh. Yeah, you mean it broke down? Where are you? 2417 Orchard Lane. Where the hell is that? Right. Right. It's about to be an ugly situation here. You weren't supposed to be over there. That's why the car broke down anyway. Yeah. Yeah. That's a hard call to make. Ezekiel 36 And let's start that at verse 16.
Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their own doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it.
Once again, if you don't really understand, you're going to constantly look at a situation of punishment. This is restoring the land. This is atonement. We are about to keep atonement. But every time we read these things, people don't really understand about atonement. It is then setting it back in the course and in the way that it was before the deed was done. This is why there has to be a bit of affliction when we get to atonement. It is atonement that places something right. So when we get to this part where you start reading, okay, and this happened, and then this happened, this is their atonement. You got to place it back the way that it was. There's a little bit of affliction involved in that. Go ahead.
And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries. According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them. And when they entered onto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name, when they said to them, These are the people of Yahweh, and are gone forth out of his land.
These are the people of Yahweh, and are gone forth out of his land. Then Yahweh names ends up getting polluted by the things that they watch us do. Go ahead.
But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus says the Adonai Yah, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake, which you have profaned among the heathen, whither you went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, says the Adonai Yah, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes.
I will be sanctified in you before their eyes. They don't deal with Israel, they ain't dealing with nothing. Everybody want to go to heaven and keep talking about the pearly gates. Start asking them about them gates. Who you find on those gates? Oh, Israel. But what they want to do, what the Christian doctrine has given to people, is the opportunity to so-called walk through the gates while completely defaming Israel. Ain't gonna happen. You don't deal with her, you ain't going in. Go ahead.
For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you in to your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you.
See, this is where our salvation is. Our salvation is returning unto the land that Yahweh has given us. So when we decide that we're going to go a different way, what we're doing is forsaking our salvation. See, I don't want the salvation that you got, Yahweh. I want the salvation that the nations offer. I want to go over there. Say, no. I got ultimate peace in everything that you ever wanted. I got it right over here. Now, I don't want that. Okay. Go ahead.
A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you.
Right. Those who seek for those things. Because you got people that just, they're going to sit around and they're going to be the same all the way to the end and say, I'm just going to wait for the new heart to come in. No, you're going to have to work for that new heart. No, you're going to have to work for that. We're working for it right now. You think them people can hang outside and keep doing all of that stuff? And then here it is, we laboring in the vineyard. And then he just give them a new heart and we all just walk hand in hand. No. There's some work that got to happen for that new heart. That's why it's written, set a mark upon all those that sigh and cry for the abominations that be done in this city. Set them aside. Put a mark on them, because I want to specifically separate these people from everybody else. Because I want to know who had a problem with the evil. I need to know who they are. Separate them from everybody else. Go ahead.
And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh.
Uh-huh.
And I'll put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them.
Right. But see, these are for the individuals who are going to allow Yahweh to put his spirit within them. Because there are times that Yahweh attempts to put his spirit in us and we fight it. Because we still do what we are accustomed to doing. Go ahead.
And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. I will also save you from all your uncleanness, and I will call for the corn, and will increase it, and lay no famine upon you. And I'll multiply the fruit of the tree, and the increase of the field, that you shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen.
And see, we don't even see this as a blessing. Do you understand the power of being able to feed yourself without having to deal with any other nation? There's certain things that we don't even understand the power of, that you ain't got to deal with somebody else. When you got to ask these people for your corn, when you got to ask these people for your wine, you got to go and deal with another nation. That's why these holy days were based around harvest times. The agriculture, Yahweh is giving you, that is what we would call money. Because we didn't use the money to go and buy all the things we need. You don't need the money if it give you all the things you need. What you need money for? He just give you the thing. Go ahead.
Then shall you remember your own evil ways, and your doings that were not good, and shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your lawlessness and your abominations. Not for your sake do I this, says the Adonai Yah. Be it known unto you. Be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Israel. For thus says the Adonai Yah, in the day that I shall have cleansed you from all your lawlessness, I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the waste shall be built, and the desolate land shall be tilled, whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that pass by. And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden.
Right. So this thing, when people say, you know, we're going to go and visit the Holy Land, you ain't going to even recognize it when we get there. It ain't going to look like that. You go and look at the things of the pyramids of Giza, and you look and you see these huge structures, and you look at all this sand. You're trying to figure out, how in the hell did they even live here? It didn't look like that. How they even built? They should have died of thirst before they put that third rock up there. Look at just how desolate this thing is. That's why when Yahweh put something on something, you can't even figure out, man, what did it look like before this? So this whole thing, what we're looking at, and people say, oh man, we're going to go to the Holy Land. I want y'all to take a lot of pictures because I want to compare it when we get there. Okay, when y'all go ahead and take you some pictures. I bet it look different when I get there. Go ahead, bro.
And the waste and desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. Then the heathen that are left round about you shall know that I, Yahweh, built the ruined places and plant that was desolate. I, Yahweh, have spoken it, and I will do it.
Right. Then all the other heathen, they're going to know that, hey, these other people have been here all this time, and it didn't change. Soon as these people got here, the whole look of the place changed. Oh, yeah, Yahweh is in this place. Go ahead.
Thus says the Adonai Yah, I will yet for this be inquired of by the house of Israel, to do it for them. I will increase them with men like a flock. As the holy flock, as the flock of Jerusalem in her solemn feast, so shall the waste cities be filled with flocks of men, and they shall know that I am Yahweh.
All right, let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Psalm 116. Psalm 116. See, when we consider and really deal with Yahweh's holy days, and understand that they would be likened unto the things that we hold very dear unto us. You know, we got anniversaries and birthdays and things that we hold real dear to us. Understand what Yahweh's holy days are to him. And if we claim that this is who we love, how do we not deal with those things? In some way, shape, fashion, or form. But I mean, we can't turn into just that thing, because you know you got some holy day Hebrews that they ain't Hebrews until the holy day come around. Now we know we got people in this congregation from all over, you know. So we know we see people on the holy days that we may not see all year, but that's because they're not from around here. Then you got people who live around the corner, but you still don't see them until the holiday. You live down the street. How you just show up on a holiday? Go ahead, bro.
Psalms 116. I love Yahweh because he has heard my voice and my supplications, because he has inclined his ear unto me. Therefore will I call upon him as long as I live. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the pains of hell gat hold upon me. I found trouble and sorrow. Then called I upon the name of Yahweh. O Yahweh, I beseech you, deliver my soul. Gracious is Yahweh and righteous. Yes, our Elohim is merciful. Yahweh preserved the simple. I was brought low, and he helped me. Return unto your rest, O my soul, for Yahweh has dealt bountifully with you. For you have delivered my soul from death, mine eyes from tears, and my feet from falling. I will walk before Yahweh in the land of the living. I believe, therefore have I spoken. I was greatly afflicted. I said in my haste, all men are liars. What shall I render unto Yahweh for all his benefits toward me?
What shall I render unto Yahweh for all his benefits toward me? Everything I gave him is his. Everything I can possibly offer him up is his. What can I possibly give him? There ain't nothing I can give him that he don't already have. Well, I'm going to entice him with something? Go ahead.
I will take the cup of salvation and call upon the name of Yah.
The best I can offer Yahweh is a better me, a more devoted me. That's it. I can't, entice him with no stuff. Yahweh, I'm going to give you a brand new Toyota Camry. I can't drive that. So what the hell am I going to do with that? Matter of fact, I gave you one of those, then. How you going to give me back what I gave you? I don't want that. Go ahead.
I will pay my vows unto Yahweh now in the presence of all his people.
Right. I will pay my vows unto Yahweh in the presence of all his people. See, I will attempt to be a living sacrifice in the eyes of my Elohim and before all his people. Because I can't give him something he don't have. There ain't nothing that he don't have. There ain't nothing that I'm giving him that's going to change who he is or change his position in life. Like, now I can buy that other heaven since Suck gave me that offering. It's not going to happen. Go ahead.
Precious in the sight of Yahweh is the death of his saints. O Yahweh, truly I am your servant. I am your servant and the son of your handmaid. You have loosed my bonds. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and will call upon the name of Yahweh.
Right. He keeps going into these things that I will offer unto you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and I will call upon the name of Yahweh. You're constantly going to run into, and if we kept reading a few more of these Psalms, you're going to run into, I will call upon the name of Yahweh. This is one of those things that they offer as a spiritual sacrifice. I call upon the name of Yahweh. I call upon the name of Yahweh. You don't understand how much of a spiritual offering that is, especially in the land of the heathen, where they tell you he has many names. Go around one of the heathen and see how fast they throw out the name of Jesus. You will be in their house about 6.2 seconds. Let something happen. And they will yell out Jesus at the drop of a dime. Wow, thank you, Jesus. So we get into a Jesus and a Yahshua thanking contest. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Yahshua, indeed. Yes, I do. Now I take your Jesus and I raise you a Yahshua. What you gonna do? Come on now. Think we want to get into it? Let's get into it. Well, praise God. I say hallelujah. Come on. Go ahead, bro.
I will pay my vows unto Yahweh now in the presence of all his people.
Mm-hmm.
In the courts of Yahweh's house, in the midst of you, O Jerusalem. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right. That's all that we're going to do. Hey, remember, what's our dates? Don't you have a thing? Let me read these.
I don't have one of those in front of me.
Man, then I gave you a thing. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I done lied to you. I done lied. That's why you ain't got it, because I ain't gave it to you. And I know this is normally on our announcements that while we're broadcasting, people don't hear. That's why I want to read this beforehand. The UCI will observe the Day of Atonement, October 7th. Make sure that's right. Beginning at sundown. So that is Monday night. So you can't give, black people like just dates. You know what I'm saying? You can't give us like a day or just a date. You gotta give us a day and a date. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how we deal. On October 7th, Monday, that would be Monday night, beginning at sundown. The following evening, we will break the fast here at the camp. So Monday at sundown will begin the atonement, so that all of the people who are, especially if you have any medical issues and things like that, all right, it's the Sabbath. We got first day, Sunday, Monday at sundown. We begin our 24-hour fast. Drink fluids, all of those things, because you do not want to be dehydrated within the 24 hours that you are not eating, okay? Or drinking, all right? We are not just not eating. We're not eating. We're not drinking, okay? So within this thing, you would want to hydrate yourself beforehand. And if you have medical issues, do not push beyond that point, okay? Do what you have to do. Yahweh is our Elohim and all the things that we call upon him for. So you don't push yourself to the point where, you have to take medication or you have to do something. It is not Yahweh's will that we kill over and die trying to, keep an atonement. That ain't he really don't want you to shed your blood for the atonement. That's not his objective. Okay, let's not get it twisted. So understand those things and move with caution as we approach onto those things. I just want to make sure that I do mention that, because I know a lot of times we kind of get a little mixed up on the days. But that's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.